Hello, witches. Hello, goats. Hello, children. Welcome to the Witches Movie Coven. Yes, witches, real witches, talking about witches in movies. Yes, yes, yes. I am Patti Negri. I am one of your hosts. You might know me from The Witching Hour, my regular podcast. You might know me from Ghost Adventures or Portals to Hell, or a lot of YouTube. Or you might know me from this, the Witches Movie Coven. So, on that note, let me introduce you to my co hosts, starting with the bespectacled Jason Mankey.
I'm Jason Mankey, 10-time Llewellyn author, coming to you tonight from the house of Laura Tempest Zakroff in Providence, Rhode Island, which is why my backdrop looks cooler than it normally does.
Beautiful. Thank you. And dropping it down to the today one eyed Richard-Lael Lillard.
Yes, I am Richard-Lael. Richard-Lael is one name, not two. If I were just Richard, I would be a. That's right. I'm known as the Gentleman Psychic, and I loved this film so much that I put my eye out. Anyway, while we're on that topic, make certain you hit the like and subscribe button wherever it is, down below, up above. It helps us out on the algorithms tremendously. And also, you can go right over here to wherever this QR code is to our shop, sponsored by mysterycontrol.com. You can find everything you need to wear for your fashion needs. You can find shirts with our pictures, with our sayings, with our quotes. You can find books. You can find pre-order books. You can go over there and shop. It helps out the channel also tremendously. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And our regular special guest. Let's start out with beautiful Tabitha.
Hello, I am Tabitha Meadows. I am a medium and psychic, and tonight I am Courtney Buckley's hex double.
Thank you. Yes,
so I
Courtney,
still have to be careful. God damn
you
it.
still have to be careful. Yes. So we have had welcome back Tabitha, and in place and replacing Miss Heather today, we have the one and only Thumper Forge.
Hello, I am Thumper. I am the author of the upcoming Chaos Apple, Magic and Discordianism for the Postmodern Witch, which is available for pre-order at mysterycontrol.com. I sincerely wish I was hanging out at Laura Tempest Zakroff's house, so Jason is my proxy.
Yay, there we go. And I keep forgetting my book. I have a Llewellyn book as too, since we're doing Llewellyn Day. Dollcraft, it's just been out a month or so, maybe a month and a half, all about haunted dolls, the care, the feeding, the acquisition, and magical poppets for your spellcrafting. So check out all of our books. And let's talk movies, shall we? This week's movie is called Nightbooks. Nightbooks. Ooh, I kept looking for night everything else, and I'm like, why can't I find it? All that NIGHT, Nightbooks. It's from, I read many different things, but I think it's from 2021. But I could be wrong because I read a couple different things. And hopefully you guys all got a chance to watch it. But just in case you didn't get to watch it, Richard-Lael, do you have an unbiased synopsis of this film?
And how? So, if you enjoyed your childhood, if you loved the books of R.L. Stine, and you even somehow happen to like the film with Macaulay Culkin and Christopher Lloyd, the Page Master, and you kind of really loved Coraline, then you will absolutely hate this film with everything within you. Because it's kind of like that, with a big old dollop of public domain with some Hansel and Gretel. Here's the story. This kid ends up by going into another world where he meets the other mother, which is kind of like Coraline, from this apartment. And then in the apartment, he finds out that there is not only a cat who resides there, who is somehow the Cheshire Cat from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, but also naked. But there's also another girl who is there who gets him into trouble, but doesn't. And then, of course, there is a bad witch. And by bad witch, I don't mean her witchcraft. I mean her acting. There's a bad witch. And the only thing this bad witch wants is to kill, to unalive children and to assault the black child. So progressive, this film. And then she decides that she's going to save the kid because she has read every book in existence and she needs bedtime stories, though she keeps interrupting him every time he begins to tell a story. And then, of course, they find there's this secret library. They find out that, like the TARDIS, it goes from different places. There's also kind of like this weird aliens versus predator thing with this garden of earthly delights. I don't know. It was about an hour and a half too long, and it turns out that that Hansel and Gretel were real, but 1,000 years ago. But time doesn't exist in this space, and now this new Hansel and Gretel have pushed the witch who was real. Not the other witch was not the witch. The one who was bad acting was not the witch. She was actually some child who grew up in this world and then somehow made the old witch watch this movie to put her into a coma. And then she was asleep for 1,000 years. And then this woman became the witch. But then they kill the witch. And then there's this witch fight. And then the witch comes back. I don't know. It was such a great film. It was so good. I was practically glued with my one eye to my television screen.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Now that we understand this film, we've lost Thumper. I don't know, is Thumper doing our 5 things or do we have things?
He was doing the 5 things.
Yeah.
Okay.
But maybe he also enjoyed this movie so much that now he had to go back and do one eye.
Oh, but he is there? Can we hear you, Thumper? We hear you as here. There's the voice of the gods on the screen in front of us.
He is, but we can't see his video. Ooh, how interesting. Okay.
Or hear him. You can't see him or hear him. He's here.
Maybe he's like a magical cat that can disappear and then reappear at any moment.
Right.
Just try to get into the spirit of the film.
Oh, wait. Tabitha's getting creative. That's good. Tabitha, entertain us with your backdrops. That is really good. I guess we could start talking about the film until...
I mean, I will tell you this. Oh, wait. That was a tease.
So close. So close.
So close.
Yeah.
I did love the apartment, and I did love the library. And I will tell you that if that were a real place, you would never get me to leave. I would be fine to live there and eat popcorn. I would be fine. That's fine.
Praise be to Black Phillip.
It was a very big apartment. A very big New York apartment.
Right?
So Thumper,
for New York.
You're back.
I am not sure what happened, but I have returned.
We couldn't hear you. And do you have 5 things we need to know?
I do have 5 things. Let me put on my scarf to emulate Heather.
Hey, Heather.
And while I'm doing that, I'm going to say hello to Brookline because I saw relatives in the comments. So I'm happy to have family here. And of course, my stream would completely die as soon as I have relatives watching me. So 5 things we need to know about Nightbooks. It was actually adopted from a children's book by an author named J.A. White. He also wrote a series called The Thickety, and he wrote a series called Shadow School. There's a sequel to Nightbooks called Grave Books, and there is a short story collection that may or may not come out sometime in the future called Dark and Darker Still. So he writes very much like children's dark fantasy is kind of his genre. It was directed by David Yarovesky, who is kind of becoming an icon in horror directing. He directed Brightburn in 2019 and an action thriller horror that just came out called Locked with Anthony Hopkins. And it was produced by Sam Raimi, who is a huge fan of horror and the occult. He directed the Evil Dead franchise. He directed the remake of Drag Me to Hell. He directed Heather's all-time favorite movie, Oz the Great and Powerful. And he directed Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. He also directed a movie called The Gift, starring Cate Blanchett. That's this kind of Southern Gothic amazing movie, if you ever get a chance to see it. And he also produced...
He also directed the original 3 Spider-Man movies.
He did the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. In my mind,
Yes.
there are 2 original Spider-Man movies and then a third movie that just sort of happened that we don't discuss. But he produced the Grudge franchise, and he produced 30 Days of Night, which is like my comfort horror movie. I will, anytime I'm just like, oh, I'm sad, I need to pick me up, I'm gonna watch shark vampires annihilate an Alaskan town, and then I feel better. So Natasha, the witch, was played by Krysten Ritter, who is probably best known for her roles in Breaking Bad and the sequel El Camino. She was also in a short-lived but beloved sitcom called Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23. Were you?
I was on that show.
Loved that show so much. I cried when they canceled that show.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch.
I was background several times for that show.
That's
that
amazing.
particular one.
Crap, I'm rewatching as soon as I get home.
We're gonna have Richard-Lael sightings.
Yes.
And then she also plays Jessica Jones in the eponymous Jessica Jones series and The Defenders, which is part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What's interesting is that when she was preparing for this role, she looked to 2 particular sources. She watched every witch movie she could get her hands on, and she ended up basing the character on Glenn Close's... Who? When? How? We're gonna have a standoff with that. But she based her character on Glenn Close's performances in Fatal Attraction and 101 Dalmatians. So she kind of combined those elements, and she wanted to create a character. Yeah, it came across. And Richard-Lael, you'll appreciate this. She wanted the character to be stunted and have a childlike emotional life, which if anything, that came across. Reviews for the film were inexplicably generally favorable. Most of them said that it was slow to start, but it had a good back half. Like the second half of the movie was where everything kind of picked up. It was also described by reviewers as gateway horror. So it's a good film for, like, if you have a kid who's maybe showing an interest in horror, this is a good one to get them started on their journey into that genre. But the main thing that jumped out at me, and kind of what kept me going even when I didn't want to, is all the references to The Lost Boys, which is the 1987 vampire classic. There was the poster in Alex's room at the beginning. When Alex is wandering down the hallway, he is lured into the apartment because the Lost Boys is playing on the television. And of course, the song Cry Little Sister, which was like the theme song of the Lost Boys, pops up a couple of different times in Nightbooks. In the Nightbooks book, in the original novel, Alex was a big fan of Night of the Living Dead. That was the movie he was just sort of obsessed with. But Yarovesky, the director, felt that Night of the Living Dead might be a little too obscure for modern viewers. So he picked a movie that was important to him when he was a kid, which was The Lost Boys.
Which was equally obscure to most viewers.
I know. It's like it made an impact on me, but it was like Night of the Living Dead, I think people would have, George Romero is still cranking out zombie movies. He could have rolled with that. However, he was able to kind of cue into the visual style of The Lost Boys, and he brought in, like, not only the physical and sound elements of the movie, but he tried to kind of recreate the color scheme of The Lost Boys. Whether or not he pulled that off, but I did find a quote from Sam Raimi, the producer, that, if anything, gave me slightly more of an appreciation for the film. And that was, it's that thing that made him different that enables him to survive. It's really not a thing of shame, but the source of his strength. And that's really what I think is true in real life. And I appreciated that was at least a theme of the film, even if what that theme was packaged in kind of fell flat for me. And those are 5 or so things you need to know.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Tabitha, you look ready to go.
I too very much appreciated all of the pops of the Lost Boys coming out. There were 2 versions of that they actually used in the movie. the one from Gerard McMahon, and the second version was the one from Churches, which was the female version that you hear at the end. I had much appreciation for some of their work on witchcraft, and that someone did a little bit of homework, because when they started to talk about the blindweed, blindweed is a name for a shepherd's purse, which is used for protective charms and to ward off negative influences. In that same shot that they had, there was also a mention of cinnaroot, and that is actually a nod to Italian folk magic that relates to the I'm gonna bludgeon this. Sorry, Simata amulet. Sumata amulet, worn to ward off the evil eye. There's also, which I appreciated, in one of the quotes, and a reference to Creepshow in there, which is actually a series of stories, just like this movie has a series of stories. So there's a number of stories within the story, lots of witches, and for me that was a little bit much on this. Hard to follow it at times, and I think that the bad witch who was holding all the children, when some of those elements of her screaming at them and yelling at them, I think even as an adult was a little bit much for me. But yeah, it's quite verbally abusive. So it is supposed to be a modern take on Hansel and Gretel, so I can see where, unfortunately some people would relate to that. As an adult, I still have a hard time relating to it. So overall, it was just it was kind of weird. It just seemed all over the place, but I could appreciate it for a lot of what it was trying to do, and I did like the one scene in the library where it was almost Escher-like, when they were looking up and there was all of the different staircase and things that went all the way up, and there were multiple levels, and so I appreciate that as well. There was lots of nods to a lot of things in this movie, so I did appreciate that as well. Definitely, some of the 80s things. With the talk about more of the Lost Boys, the vans that they showcased, and I assume that those were Doc Martens, but I really appreciated those. So
thank you. I don't know how I feel about this movie. I wanted to like it. Okay, a little comedy, a little horror, a little fantasy here, there, and everywhere. So I started watching it, turned on the TV, my big TV. I wasn't watching it in my bed with my little phone. And I watched the first part and I go, I must have missed something. So I went back and I watched it again, and I really hadn't missed anything. So I started out against the wall in not a really good way. I love the apartment. I love the color and all that kind of stuff, and the shading, the artistry of looking at. But I must say, it was too harsh on the children for me as well, especially for a children's movie, to even see children, that adults can treat children like that and eat you and kill you. And it was just, it went too far in some ways. And the funny wasn't funny enough, and the scary wasn't scary enough. And the fantasy, I guess, was fantasy enough. But then I'd keep going, I've missed something again. I think I've missed something again. Where did that monster come from? So I'm going to pop in as you guys talk and remember things because I just go. And I kept coming out of the movie, and I don't come out of movies. I'm not one of those people who look at it like I'm a filmmaker or look at it like I'm an actor's perspective or how would I direct it different. When I get into a movie, I really watch the movie, but I kept coming out of this one.
Yeah.
So that's not a good sign in my name. Other than
Yeah, I went into it with, I think, the wrong expectations because based on the premise, I thought it was going to be basically a reboot of Tales from the Dark Side, the movie, which starred Debbie Harry from Blondie as the witch character, and which it's an amazing one of my favorite horror movies. And so I thought this was going to be an anthology like that, like the kid gets kidnapped by the witch and he has to tell these stories. And there were those little snippets of animation sometimes when he would tell a story. And I liked that, but I kind of expected the whole movie to be more like that, and it really wasn't. I feel like probably some of the magical elements are probably very well explained in the book, and they brought those elements in, but didn't really give any backstory explication of them. Like, oh no, there's a little spider monster running around, and we just sort of have to accept that it's there, but we're not going to know what it is or where it came from. There was more CGI in that little spider monster, which was really cool, than there was for the cat. And then by the end of the movie, it was a real cat. Yeah. I don't know if anybody else. I was like, that was weird. Like, was the cat drunk in its trailer and they just had to make something up real quick? That was odd. The whole thing felt just kind of bumpy and uneven to me. And one thing that always bothers me about movies is when the movie doesn't really know what it wants to be. So I can understand children's horror, but there are moments that were just a little too much for a kid, but not enough for an adult. That said, I was like Patti, I was kind of phasing in and out, and I was playing on my phone, and I was like, a poop joke, how, groundbreaking. And then suddenly they were like, and the witch is Unicorn Girl. And I was like, what? And then I was invested for that second half of the film. Then I kind of got into it, but I think the reviews were really correct in that it took a long time to get to where the film was actually interesting and could hold my attention.
Okay.
Well, I will tell you that I loved the wallpaper.
Yes.
I love the wallpaper.
Agreed.
I will tell you the wallpaper that is in their apartment that they feature is William Morris wallpaper.
Really?
So it's turn of the century. Beautiful wallpaper. I love it. I love it. I love it. The funny thing is, though, the one thing that did kind of get under my skin is they said, well, the apartment looks like it was decorated by her grandmother. I like the apartment. I love that apartment. In fact, if that were my apartment, I would never leave that apartment. I mean, excepting the fact that the woman playing the witch, the bee in apartment 23, was truly the bee in apartment 43. And I tell you, I like children as much as, well, I could just never finish a whole book. I like children. I like children. However, I just thought that it was insanely cruel, and I did not enjoy the insults that were hurled at the actors. I was deeply offended when the girl says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. That was so stupid." And she says, "Oh, yes, you are. I've been telling you that for years." I'm like, this is just, it's insanely cruel. There is no real point. And there was no redeeming quality in any of the actors and any of the performances that could, for me, redeem it from whatever this was that I watched. I mean, it was, and then to boot, it was disjointed. It was bumpy. It was like, okay, ideas. Let's throw things against the wall. Lost Boys, R.L. Stein. Let's do a dollop of Hansel and Gretel, and there's a little bit of Roald Dahl and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Let's throw a little bit of. Yeah. I was about to be the bee in apartment 23. I was about to be the bee in apartment 23.
One thing that I kept thinking about, because I came out of the movie, which I usually don't, is those poor kids had to film probably 12, 15 hours a day of slime on them. They always had slime. But I understand kids like slime. If
Yeah.
I was for the kid part of the movie, I think kids like slime, like look at Nickelodeon or whatever. But I was thinking from the performers, how horrible to live slimed up almost the entire movie.
Yeah.
Almost the entire.
Those kids made plenty of money. I have no pity.
And it's worth noting that the previous children they weren't actually killed. They were just turned into the little porcelain dolls. And at the very end, they were moving. So they were breaking free of the curse. So it's like nobody was actually killed, which is great, but at the same time,
the other witch comes back. They kill the original witch, but then it says the end, or is it? And then you see the gloved hand of Cruella de Vil.
It's been 4 years. It is the end. We're not getting another one of these. We're done.
There was a sequel. There was a sequel to the original novel. The author of the books found himself in some possible legal trouble, and which is why his collection of short stories is currently shelved. The HarperCollins has it was about to come out, and they postponed it kind of indefinitely. And so, even though it was set up as we're going to get more of this, I think because of J.A. White's situation, I think they kind of went, and we'll just pretend this didn't happen.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wish I could pretend it didn't happen. It made me want to get rid of my other eye.
I have some.
I will tell you, Thumper, as a former Pentecostal Christian, the Bible says if your eye offends you, pluck it out. And watching this film, my eye offended me.
What a God for both of them.
Well, you still need one good eye to see how to turn it all off at the end.
Oh, true. True, Jason.
So I have a couple of confessions to make about this film. So I'm between festivals. I've been on the East Coast now for a week. And instead of going home like I normally would, I just sort of stayed out here. So it makes doing things really difficult. And I did not get to watch this movie until today. And by the time I started this movie, because of the Witches Movie Coven text chain, I had kind of already formed an opinion about the movie. So I came in hating it already. And at about noon Eastern time today, I sent a message to our producer, Rob. I was like, I don't have access to Netflix, and I don't think I'm going to be able to watch the movie. Is Tabitha busy? Because I think I'm going to have to skip the show. And he wrote me back, and he goes, Jason, too bad. Tabitha is already filling in for Courtney, and Thumper is filling in for Heather. Here's a podcast that might catch you up on the film. It's 20 minutes long. You can listen to that and talk about the movie tonight. That sits wrong with me. So I got in touch with my wife, and I was like, what is our Netflix password? And I downloaded Netflix, and I put in the password. And then I discovered that if I watch Netflix on my phone, and I did not know this was a feature, you can watch it at 1.5 speed. And that is how I watch this film. So every movement is a little herky-jerky, and everybody's speaking at a much higher register than they normally would, because luckily I got to take a film that was 1 hour and 45 minutes and watch it in about 73 minutes.
It was probably a lot more entertaining.
Still too long. It
was still too long, and there were times when I'd check like how much time had gone by, and it still wasn't enough. I was like, that's allegedly 5 minutes of the movie, but it's really only been 2.5 minutes, and this is not fair to me or anyone else in the world. So it was still an excruciating watch, but I got through it, and I was worried that perhaps by watching it at an advanced speed, the emotional resonance of the movie was slipping away from me. But judging by everyone's comments tonight, that is clearly not the case. And I think that I had the superior movie watching experience by far. Also, I've been trying to drink less on the show. This is the third time I filled up this wine glass in the last 30 minutes because I'm being forced to talk about this movie.
I just again what everybody's talking about, the bumpiness, the unevenness, and all of that. And then again, because I come out of the movie and I never do that. Is it the directing? Yeah, they're not all being directed by the same director. It looks like, or they weren't doing the same thing. And then, well, no, it's the writing. Well, the writing isn't that it's that bad. It's just isn't good.
Yeah,
it doesn't tell the story. So, but it was pretty.
Visually, it was nice for the most part, and there was one moment that I feel should be a meme, and it was when the original witch was waking up and the new unicorn girl witch was freaking out, and Alex just screamed, "Witch fight!" And I was like,
made me feel like I was back in New Orleans.
Yeah.
That's my favorite quote.
I was like, I need that as a meme to like post on Facebook groups when everybody starts attacking each other.
Yes,
Like,
that was my favorite line. That was the one line I jumped up and down with too. Witch fight.
So at least it had a moment.
Time.
It had a moment.
It had a moment. It had a moment and a pretty apartment. And they lived happily ever after, or did they?
If I have to say, if I was younger and I wandered into a strange apartment and an evil witch was like, you have to tell me scary stories and you have to stay here forever and eat peanut butter and jelly whenever you want, I would be like, what is the downside? What's the catch? Like, that seems like a cool gig to me. And he was like, no, I must escape. And I was like, kid.
And you've got a huge library to plagiarize, right?
I know,
like,
right?
You just marginally change the stories, kind of like they did with this film, as they plagiarized much better movies and stories. And you could probably stay there forever, you know? And the poor kid had a friend for the first time in his life.
Right.
You know what bugs me about the cat is they saved the cat from the little shredder creature. And then the cat was like, okay, you're cool. And then the witch came in and was like, oh, I have to punish you because you both... But the cat has been spying on them the whole time. That was the cat's job, was to rat them out. And then they saved the cat. So the cat could have said something or meowed something or passed a note, or I didn't catch how the cat communicated, but something could have happened. It was things like that bothered me, that it was like, I don't know.
It felt like the cat was the most developed of all the characters, and yet was not as developed as I would have liked a Sphinx cat to be in a movie of this magnitude.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, this was 2021. This was the movie event of 2021. And I remember all of my friends, Nightbooks. And they're like, what are you doing this weekend, Jason? And I was like, I'm going to go see Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings. And they're like, we're staying home and watching Nightbooks on Netflix. I've rearranged my entire schedule there. And
even today, my whole social circle, where were you when Nightbooks premiered? You know, we all burned into our memories.
Mm-hmm. I wore my official Nightbooks underoos last night just because I was so excited to do this show today.
And I was wondering, like, the witch, she had great, whatever she was, the modern witch, the bad witch, Natasha had some great costuming, but the kids had quite a bit, or at least the girl had quite a bit of costuming. Where did she get all those cute outfits? The little
right?
They made them out of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
I think so. You'd think they would be in whatever, but yeah, how she was treated was just bad. I was worried seeing that cat, and they're going to start throwing the cat. You know me, animals.
Yeah.
I had to watch it like this, but luckily, it was a happy ending for the cat. I'm not staying with that it was a happy ending and the kids weren't killed. I think they're still in a cupboard somewhere.
I'm fine with that. I am fine with that.
Yeah.
They deserve it. They absolutely these children, because of this film, deserve to be put into a cabinet of curiosities. I am perfectly fine with that. Save the rest of the world.
That's another thing. You know, I'm going to turn you into a China doll and keep you in a cabinet for all eternity. And I'm like, so I don't have to check email?
Right? Or pay taxes? Or rent?
This is, yep. Please hit me with your terrible curse. Yeah, I would. That was just...
Ay, ay, ay. So,
I
We
feel
can
so
skip
bad for
the
whoever
next-
recommended this film. Whoever recommended this, I'm so sorry we didn't like it.
I think, though, we get more mileage on the show out of films that we don't all particularly love.
yes.
This is true. This is true.
So, yeah, so I mean, I think it's fine. And the whole point of the show is not to just watch movies that we love. Heather's really good at finding movies that most all of us hate.
That
Right.
is true.
And then in our chat today, too, I mentioned that earlier, though. There's one point where Heather Green says, I didn't pick this, as people are piling on the movie. That's always a sign of something right there.
Right,
Yeah.
right. She
Yeah.
hasn't seen it. But no, I like the bad movies. I certainly like the bad movies. I had something I was going to say and it left my brain. I can't believe it. I don't know. It was really
I want
good.
to see. I want to see what more people think in the comments. If people can comment some more on how they felt about the movie, I want to see some of that. If it matches up to what we're saying, is there anybody in comments that actually liked the movie, and what did you like about it? That's what I want to know.
And I love when our producer, our host, did they mention where the witch went during the day? Did she have a gig? I mean, where did she go? Where did she go?
She
Went
got
to
stuck
have
in
her-
traffic.
Those teal roots had to get touched up. That's a daily
Mhm.
maintenance thing.
And then, of course, she didn't have any real magic, so she had to go shopping for those gloves.
My
That was
guess
a
is
while
that-
too.
My guess is just that whoever recommended this is not here because they did it as a prank. Like, it's somebody who clearly doesn't like the show and was like, "Hey, you guys should watch this film," and that was it. And that's how we ended up here. Sorry, Tabitha, to cut you off.
No, that's okay. Another thing that was weird was some of her costuming, all the glittery, like the very first costume that she had on. Yeah, that one made sense with the trying to come out with the Cruella de Vil.
Mhm.
But some of the other ones were just it's like
Silly.
she was a walking disco ball
Yeah.
in the apartment. So I didn't understand the correlation with some of the costuming. And
It was
and
like
her
she was going to Romeo and Shell's high school reunion.
yes. So where did she go? What disco did she visit during the day?
Thomas Wright just posted the greatest comment. There was a lot of screaming, so it was difficult to sleep through. That should be a T-shirt. That's brilliant.
There
I know-
was a lot of screaming in it too. There,
There was.
yes, there was a lot of that.
And the main witch, I think she's a good actor as a rule. And I knew what she was. I mean, we heard she was trying to play Glenn Close or whatever, but it seemed too posy to me.
Yeah.
It seemed too
I
posy.
like Krysten Ritter. I didn't like her here very much.
It
I
would,
mean, not
like,
just because she sounded like a chipmunk to me.
I know it wasn't.
Close.
She talked about like trying to emulate Glenn Close. It reminded me of Anne Hathaway in the remake of The Witches in a way, but it worked
Yes.
in that movie. The over-the-top melodramatic caricature worked there, and it didn't quite work here.
Right.
And there were moments where it was like, okay, she's this evil witch. She's got all this power. She's got the greatest apartment ever, but real easy to fool and really easy to. I mean, I guess part of it was it turns out she was a 12-year-old or what, or like. I guess that was she still had the childlike mind, but yeah, it was like I feel bad that she was like, I watched every witch I could get a hold of, and it was like, great, maybe you picked the wrong one.
I like Colin's comment. He says, as it happens, she works as a cashier at 7-Eleven during business hours. And then I like Mary Jane's. Did the cat add magic liquid to the witch's scent bottle? I couldn't figure it out. I think that's kind of what happened is that.
Yeah, that was one where I had to go back and figure out what was going on because I guess the witch was spraying herself and they were trying to make a sleeping potion to knock her out, and then the cat helped. But the cat accidentally dosed itself at the same time.
Right.
They
So
tried to explain
I
that
want
there's some
one of those
exposition and didn't do
Mr.
well with
things.
it.
I want a Mr. thing.
I want a
One of
mystery
my
too.
rich friends could make something that does that. Yes, yes, please.
Well, we know what we're getting Patti for the holidays.
Yes, please.
Oh,
Get colorful and all that. Ay. Do we have any quotes on this lovely film? Tabitha?
I have a couple that I liked besides Witch Fight.
Fight!
Mhm.
I think this kind of was for the entirety of the movie, kind of what it was about. So Yasmin says, "Weird? Who called you that?" "Well, they're right. You are weird. I mean, look at you. The thing that makes you weird makes them ordinary. Nobody likes to be ordinary because ordinary sucks. So ordinary people are going to try and take that away from you by calling you names like Try Hard, or Alex says, or Creep Show. Yasmin says, yeah, or Creep Show." The other one I like.
Gets you right in the heart right there, doesn't it? Wow.
Yeah. The other one I like was because it's just my favorite. So I just made it into a quote. Ready? Oh, hold on, wait. I've gotta prepare for this. Hold on. Okay. All right, ready?
Oh,
"Last fire will rise behind those eyes. Black house will rock. Blind boys don't lie."
Is that from? Is that from?
That's when they were singing this. That's when
My Little
they
Sister.
were-
Okay.
They had Cry Little Sister. That's when they had the montage when.
I did, I'm a fool for a good slow-mo, and when the two kids came like walk in slow motion, I'm like, I will always appreciate that in the movie.
I thought that was one scene in the movie that I did fun. It was fantastic.
Yeah,
I did
little
appreciate that.
moments of hope.
Yes, there was little moments of pleasure, but a lot of moments of what in the world's going on here. But
Yeah,
You look very cute in your fangs, Tabitha.
it is a good look.
It's a good look. It is a very
I
good
still can't believe this movie got like a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it was
Like-
like at 87, which was I was like, did we watch the same movie?
Yeah, like usually it's not always right, but wow, like it's never usually that off with our opinions.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, you can think about the time that it came out, though, too. People were feeling, people were
COVID?
feeling kind of away. So,
Yeah.
Do we know what time of year it came out in 2021? I mean, because the first half of the year, very much in lockdown, there was very little that was coming out. And
yeah.
then as the summer went along, it was a hot back summer and people were doing things again a little bit. And it felt like a little less forlorn. But if it came out in February, this might have been the movie of February, right? Because what else was there to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to like it. There's nothing else.
Yeah. Like, what are you going to do?
Everybody was just stir crazy, and they were like, "Look how much space there is in that apartment. 5 stars."
Yeah. I might
Yeah.
still be married if we had that much space.
Do we have Mr. Jason Mankey? Do we have a Mankey movie minute moment?
We do. Remember, like, things are difficult, so maybe it won't be as good as it sometimes might be, or it might be too short. I don't know. But here we go. Nightbooks. Boy, doesn't that sound cool? Nightbooks. Whoa. I guess those are books about the night. Maybe they are books you only read at night. Forget a fairy tale, Daddy. Please read me a nightbook. Please let nightbooks be related to heavy metal. That would make nightbooks cool. Or maybe better yet, nightbooks might be the name of a heavy metal band. But no, nightbooks really means personal journals full of stories someone thinks are scary, but which aren't really scary. And who is this chap that keeps nightbooks? Well, I'm sure he has a name, but I just call him Punk Rock Harry Potter because he looks like Harry Potter and wears a denim vest with skulls on it. That is so punk rock, right? How old is Punk Rock Harry Potter? Maybe 8, 10? I have no idea. He's just a kid who keeps night books and likes skulls and horror stuff. The dumb kid also wanders into a stranger's apartment and eats a random piece of pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie is really just for Thanksgiving, and also, you don't wander into someone's apartment and eat their food, especially if they are watching an old VHS copy of The Lost Boys. That kind of behavior has serial killer written all over it. The kid has parents, though they don't seem all that attentive. After the kid has a disastrous birthday party, he leaves his apartment to burn his night books, an act that would require the kid leaving through the front door in a small space. His mom sort of notices, but his dad waves it all off. No one then checks on punk rock Harry Potter, which would have taken all of 12 steps to do. Someone please call Child Protective Services. These parents probably forget to pick up punk rock Harry Potter at the end of every night book band practice. It's just pathetic. There's a little girl in the movie who has been missing for 3 years who makes dinner and drinks for her witch captor. She is surprisingly competent. I don't have much that's bad to say about her. I was surprised to see her, though, at the end of the film, hanging out with punk rock Potter. I would have assumed she'd be in therapy. 3 years held captive, and when she returned to civilization, her story would have been, I was held hostage by a witch for 3 years. I'm sorry, that would get you committed, even if it were true. Apparently, everyone just accepted her story without a second thought. Next time I go on a hookers and cocaine bender and disappear from my wife for a few weeks, I'm going to say, abducted by an evil witch. That totally happened. I'm sure I'll end up in an institution or divorced. Best case scenario, sleeping on the couch for about a year. What else have we got in this movie? Oh, yeah, we got a cat. The cat was probably my favorite character, and I was often very worried about the cat. The cat was a sphinx, one of those hairless cats. I just wanted to put a sweater on it most of the time. The cat has magical powers and is pretty strong. The cat also saves the day a few times because punk rock Potter needs all the help he can get. The Patronus is not strong in that one, folks. And then there's an evil witch. The evil witch likes crappy stories, which is why she kidnaps punk rock Potter. If I was going to kidnap a horror story writer, I'd probably kidnap Stephen King and not an 8-year-old child. I'd even take King's kid over the toddler in this movie. This took me right out of the film. Oh, the witch. She also wrote a secret diary as a child, and the movie pulls a whole Tom Riddle thing that you could see coming from a mile away. The really terrible witch is the witch from Hansel and Gretel. How she was going to die was not a mystery to me, but with the recent dissolution of the Department of Education and the intelligence of many American citizens, I'm sure there were a lot of people who did not see that end coming. So that's it. I'm on the road, and that's all you get tonight. Nightbook.
Woo! I feel like I'm going to end up on the phone with your wife and be like, listen, he probably just wandered into a strange apartment for pumpkin pie again. You know how he is.
I do really like pumpkin pie. I'll admit that.
Yeah.
We want pumpkin pie. Yes. All right. Well, we have a few minutes left. I guess we could talk about other things. Our beautiful producer Rob talked about television. Do we want to vote on this first, though, so we don't forget everything in our mind?
We can vote. Let's vote first, and then we'll talk about other things.
All right. Get your wands ready. And that means all of you, Colin, Robert, Thomas, Mary Jane, everybody else there.
This is my first ones down. I like everything.
I like almost everything, unless there's animal cruelty.
Yeah. Colin is right. If you replace the kid with Stephen King, this would have been probably an amazing movie because the vignette stories were not good. That was a huge disappointment. Yeah. Huge disappointment.
Okay, so we've got down, almost down, pretty down. What about you guys? Okay, that being said, wands up. I enjoyed it. Did you suggest this movie to us? That being said, we love you.
You've always been our favorite.
Wand it neutral. It was cute. I guess. I wanted to be cute. I wanted it to be cute.
Yeah.
Wands up for the wallpaper. I really liked that wallpaper.
Wands up.
apartment, the library, the books.
One's up
Okay,
for the
I'm all for
shredder thing.
that.
I would like one as a pet.
That was a cute shredder thing. And the goo. There's so much goo.
Juan's up for the Lost Boys.
Lots of
All the
the
Lost Boys
Oh yeah,
references.
Lost Boys. Cries Little Sister. Yeah. So
Not a
all
lot.
right.
Like
Now
that didn't even help me.
it's not our favorite movie so far, but we had fun with it. So we still appreciate everybody who gives us movies to watch. We want you guys suggesting movies with witches for it. Even if we curse you and hex you afterwards, we want those. We do.
What are we watching
Agatha
next
All
week?
Along.
Does anyone know?
Agatha All Along.
What is it?
Agatha.
Oh, I haven't even watched any of that yet.
Watch the
great.
first episode and the last. You won't miss anything. It'll be fun.
That's honestly like you're not as much as I love most of it. You're not incorrect.
You
are
know
not
that I'm right. You know that I'm right. Aren't we debuting a new segment on the show tonight? Though?
Speaking of a TV show.
Yeah.
She just got all glammy. Okay. All right. So speaking of TV, what have people been watching on television lately since we have a couple minutes left?
I've been watching As the World Burns.
Regular old
I recently rewatched a series. It was just like a one season story on AMC called Sanctuary: A Witch's Tale, which is phenomenal. If you get a chance to watch it, it takes place in a quaint English village, modern times, where in this particular world, witchcraft is just sort of there. Everybody's aware of it. It's a regulated industry, but it quickly becomes a murder mystery. And very well done. Very well done. I binged it and then I turned around and binged it again.
Good. Anybody else? Tabitha?
I've been watching Dark Winds. It's about indigenous people, Navajo tribal police solving mysteries and serving justice as their reservation is besieged by some seriously bad folks. And there's 3 seasons of it now, and it's really good.
Are there witches?
Yes, there are.
Ooh,
there are actually witches in this, and it's interesting how they're portrayed in the show as well.
Interesting.
I don't know, Tabitha. I think I have some reservations.
You know.
But
we need to get a snare drum from upstairs. Speaking of witches, speaking of television, we know witchcraft is very popular these days. We're very popular being witches, but there certainly does seem to be more witch themes in especially television and movies than I've ever noticed before. Has anybody noticed that?
It seems to be an upturn, yeah.
Yeah. Definitely upturn. And I just don't know how to watch television anymore. There's so many things on. I remember having this little book called a TV Guide.
What is that?
It tells you everything on TV, one at a time. I mean, I have enough trouble figuring out where we see what we see. That's easy. You go to online, you ask Siri, you ask Alexa, you ask whoever where it is. But to know what to watch, because I'm not a TV person, obviously, is there some place that lists, if you like this, you will like this. If you like that, you will like that. Where do we find witchy TV?
Go to a series or a movie that you like and scroll down, and there will be a if you liked section under it.
Oh.
Yeah. I just wish there were more shows that portrayed us in a more positive light. I think there are some. Kelvin mentioned the Mayfair Witches, which is a really good series.
Yeah.
The one that you mentioned, Thumper, that's a fantastic series, and I love A Discovery of Witches as well. They have other beings in there, like vampire, and there's this whole hierarchy in that show that I really, really love. And Matthew's just Matthew the vampire in that show is is pretty delicious.
Not a show with witches, but last week I finished the second and final season of The Sandman, and I know that it's Neil Gaiman who is very problematic. But if you are a tried and true Gen Xer who grew up with comic books, you've probably read the Sandman comics, and there's a lot of magic in those books. There's a lot of mythology in those books, and I still love those graphic novels, despite some problems with the person who helped, write most of them. The
Yeah.
show itself looks like a dreamscape. It's absolutely beautiful. I love the actor who plays Morpheus, who is the Sandman, the King of Dreams, one of the endless. In this second and final season, we get a lot of Morpheus's backstory, including a story of his son Orpheus. And the Fates are very witch-like in this, who decide that they are going to take the life of Morpheus at the end. Some of my favorite Sandman stories are part of the second season, including A Midsummer Night's Dream, which won a science fiction award, and then as soon as it won, they rewrote the awards so that a comic book would never be eligible to win again. True story.
Yeah.
I love the Sandman. My wife is a little younger than me and doesn't read comics, so she didn't care about it as much. But if you grew up in that era and you love those stories, I really suggest watching all of season 1 and all of season 2, and then watching all of season 1 and all of season 2 again. Absolutely beautiful. And I think as witches, we do love mythology, and there's a lot of Greek mythology in this particular story, but you also have a really great turn by a version of Loki. It's not Tom Hiddleston's Loki. It's a little more diabolical than that, but it also works really, really good. There's a reimagined John Constantine as Joanna Constantine, and she really shines. And the actress who plays Death, who is one of the Endless in the original comic book based on Tori Amos, and is just she's fantastic. And the last story is from the comic book Death, the High Cost of Living, and that's how the Sandman television show ends. I just love it. I love how it looks. I love how it was put together.
There's an episode
the writer.
The writer and his partner. But and there's an episode in season 1 where Morpheus just kind of follows Death around for the day while she does her job.
Yes, that's
which
fantastic.
Was just
and the bonus there's a bonus episode at the end of season 1, which is about the Queen of Cats, and it's just all cats, and it's exactly like the comic, and I nearly cried. And then there's this moment where Morpheus meets a guy who wants to live forever, and Death sort of grants him a degree of immortality, and then they meet once every 100 years, and you see, I think, 6 or 7 of their meetings, and it's just terrific television. So
I did cry at the end of that one, because there was the year that Morpheus didn't make the meeting,
right?
But then I was devastated by the end of that one. It was beautiful.
That's cool. I have so much to catch up on. But before we go, thank you, Lisa, for your kind words. That is very sweet. And Colin, I want to catch you. You were saying that the Wednesday thing. Is it the same castle as season 1? Because last year in our Romania tour, we went to the castle where they filmed Wednesday season 1. It was amazing. Filmed about an hour's drive from your house. So I don't know if it's the same one. I went to that too. Are you in Romania or close to Romania? Because that's where we were. And no, we didn't ever leave Romania. So it was pretty cool actually being at that castle. I fell down. I backed up on a big swing, backing up down a hill, tree stump I didn't see, and I took the beautiful back end header, but it was a really cool castle. Anyway, we are getting close to the time. This
Wednesday and Sandman are both streaming on Netflix. That was a question. Tonight's show was brought to you by Netflix.
Yes. Thank you, Robert, for that question. So yes, we're all over the place. Sanctuary. So next week, Agatha. This week we have one more thing to do. We could scream, or
we could scream witch fight.
Witch fight.
And then cackle. We'll scream witch fight and then cackle, so we get the best of all worlds. Since you guys will never let us sing. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Woo!
Witch fight! Witch fight! Witch fight! Tonight we're